Hey guys, how's it going? Yuri here with another episode of Ask Yuri. Today we're going to be talking about overtraining, overexertion, and how do you know when you've done too much.
Ask Yuri. You've got a health and fitness question? I've got an answer.
So this question comes from Omar. Again, he posted it on my Facebook page. Just a quick note, if you guys have any questions, join me on Facebook. The URL is below this video. And if you have any questions, post them on my wall. As you can see, I'm answering them in video format for you. So Omar is wondering about overexertion. He's trying to reach his peak fitness level, endurance, strength, and so forth, but he feels, so he's also very slim, he feels that he's overexerting his muscles due to consistent acrobatic and weight training. Now, by acrobatic, I'm assuming that he means aerobic. I'm not too sure if he's a Cirque du Soleil performer, in which case that would be more acrobatics. So, how does he know if he's overexerting himself? Well, there's a lot of great stuff out there to help you monitor your body's exertion level, if you will. So one of the hallmark ways to do this is by using heart rate variability. Now this is getting this, I don't want to go too technical here because this is mainly done with pro athletes, endurance athletes, triathletes and stuff like that, where they measure their heart rates, for instance, first thing in the morning, and they track that over several days, several weeks, several months. That's called heart rate variability. And you look at what is the variability in your heart rates over time. And what you'll find is the best thing to do this is actually first thing in the morning when you wake up, before getting out of bed, is just take your heart rate, your pulse, and note it down. Okay, there's a lot of cool tools out there. There's one called RestWise, which is a website that incorporates an app that allows you to track all this stuff over a certain amount of time. So you can see, based on how much sleep you've had, what your resting heart rate is, and some other parameters, whether your body is overtrained or if you're in kind of the right zone for what you're looking to achieve. So heart rate variability is something you can use. Again, it can be a little bit technical. Best thing to do, again, as I just mentioned, is to measure your heart rate first thing in the morning. If some mornings you find it's very elevated, or let's say my average resting heart rate is 62 beats per minute, okay? So if I wake up in the morning and I've just been training really intensely, some days it might be higher, some days it might be lower. And if it's a high heart rate all the time, that means your body is a little bit stressed out, right? It's trying to work to recover things. So you can do that. Again, it becomes a little more technical. The other thing you can do is just really kind of zone in and tune into how you're feeling. If you go to the gym and let's say you're lifting weights or you're running intervals on the treadmill, understand that every form of exercise is a form of stress on your body. So when you lift weights, what happens is, let's say you're doing bicep curls. If you were to take a microscope and look at your muscles, it would look like a little grenade went off. Okay, you have all this tearing happening at the microscopic level. But if we looked at that 2 days later, those muscles would have repaired themselves to get stronger. And that's called adaptation. And that's one of the beautiful things about strength training, is that that's how we get stronger. But if you compound all these stressors, right, the weight training, the aerobic or anaerobic training, stress from life, emotional stress, food stress, right? All of these insults on your body can take their toll and wear down your adrenal glands, wear down the performance of your individual muscles, and you need to really, I think, just kind of tune into how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. For instance, I'm really big right now into intuitive training. And what that means is that on some days, I just don't feel like doing certain types of exercise, and so I don't do them. So this is kind of the complete opposite of following a very structured program where you say, okay, on Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I do this, Wednesday I do this, Thursday I do this. And even though I'm 5 days away from Friday, I know I'm still doing this. But what happens is when you get to Friday, what happens if you don't feel like doing that? What happens if you're completely burned out? Well, some might say, you know, the old adage where it's like, you do things no matter how you feel, right? So it's like you do something even if you don't feel like doing it. Well, in some cases that's helpful, but I believe when it comes to exercise, that can be one of the worst things you can do, because not only do you develop a dislike for exercise over time if you continue doing things you hate doing, but you're also working against your body. So for instance, yesterday I was actually stuck in Moncton because there was a huge thunderstorm in Toronto which led to flooding, the worst storm in Toronto's history. I mean, I've always said we need more natural disasters in Toronto. Maybe I should take that back, because we had like, the whole city was flooded. It was crazy. I was stuck in Moncton because I was actually supposed to fly back to Toronto that night, but we couldn't because of the thunderstorms. So we're sitting in the airport for like 12 hours with our 2 little kids. Not the greatest experience. So got back home, got to bed at 4 in the morning, I think. The next day I woke up, I was just shattered. I did not feel like doing anything. But one thing I did feel like doing is I just felt like I needed to get my body recharged and moving. So what I did is I hit the gym, went up to the treadmill, and I did 20 minutes of interval training. Okay, that was the best thing I could have possibly done for myself that specific day. Today, I don't necessarily feel like doing interval training. Okay, so that's how I'm approaching a lot of the training nowadays, is based on how I feel. And this is, again, as I mentioned, called intuitive training. So Omar, with respect to how do you know if you're overexerting yourself, I think the most important thing you can do is listen to your body. If you're going to the gym and your performance is lower or weaker or slower than it was the previous couple times, that's an indication that you're probably doing too much. Okay? You can also measure your heart rate first thing in the morning before you go to bed and track that over time. If it continues to increase, that's not a good sign. Okay? So I hope that helps you out. And just remember, less is more. You don't need to train 7 times per week. Okay? You need to find that optimal balance between how much you need to do to get the results you're after. And the good news is that it's a lot less than you probably think. And we'll talk a little bit about that in probably another video at some point. So that's all from me today. Thanks for the question, Omar. Once again, if you guys have any questions, join me on Facebook. The link is below this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.